excited to have you join us tonight. So tonight, we'll be going over some of the advantages of studying medicine and dentistry abroad. We're going to go over how it all works. We'll talk about some of the options that are available to you. We have some students here that will be talking about the experience that they've had. Now, without further ado, let's get started. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Edmund. I'm one of the student advisors here at Medlink Students. Now, my work over the years has been guiding and supporting students through their medical and dental journey. And I've helped thousands and thousands of students begin their path of becoming doctors and dentists and successfully practicing in the UK or their home countries. We're joined tonight by a few of our specialist advisors who will be talking during the webinar. You're already familiar with me. I have my colleague, Tom, who's one of the senior advisors. And we also have Dana, who will be joining us tonight as well. Now, we'll be discussing who we are. We'll go through some of the benefits of studying abroad, the current state of the medical and dental schools in the UK, what it's like to study in Europe, the tuition fees, the living costs. We'll also go over the admission requirements. We'll also get some time to talk about the best medical and dental schools out there in Europe, where you can work with the degrees, how we can help you, and then there will be some time also taken for the Q&A. Now, because we know you'll have lots and lots of questions, just be sure to write them in the Q&A section of the Zoom during the presentation. You'll be able to see the location feature at the bottom right, and you also get to upvote some of the questions that you find interesting. Now, in every success story, you will often find someone that has made a courageous step to embark on that journey. And to tell you about our story, I'd like to invite Tom to join us and tell you about how we started. Tom?
Hi, thank you, Edmund. Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be able to talk about this story. First of all, a little bit about myself. As you can see here, I am a senior student advisor here at Medlink Students. I have been for a number of years now. I've helped thousands of students to decide on the perfect medical school for them. And I look forward to helping a few more of you after this webinar. So, who is Medlink Students? Medlink Students was inspired and started because of a group of medical students many years ago. They were trying to get into medical school in the UK, as so many of you are, and obviously around the world. And they just found that they couldn't get the places. It was too competitive. Now, they had a real passion for becoming doctors and helping people throughout a career, and they weren't willing to let that go. So they decided, against all odds, they were going to go and study abroad and try to work out a way that they could come back and have that medical career within the UK afterwards. They decided that studying in Europe was the solution. They saw that there were English taught programs. So for the coming months, maybe even up to a year with some of them, they battled hard to get through all the admissions, the deadlines, legalizing their papers, translating everything they needed to do to get in. And eventually, a few of them made it. And they were so happy. And then once they got to this new country, it all seemed very daunting. They obviously had to adjust and get used to all of their surroundings in a whole new country and a new culture to embrace. Now, what they realized in doing this is that there should be companies out there that can help students with this process. You shouldn't have to sit at home and not get the scores you were looking for and not be able to get into medical school and then just give up on becoming a doctor. They thought to themselves, if we could do it and we could just about make it through, let's see if we can help other people to do the same thing. Let's see if we can join up with other people that share the same dreams, have the same ambition, the same compassion towards wanting to help people and push forward in medicine. And so that's exactly what they did. And they started off very small, very humble, just helping as many people as they could. And over the years and years, this has grown and grown. Obviously, in that time, they've finished their studies. They've gone back, registered in the UK with the GMC, various other places around the world. And they've been able to help now thousands of students with being able to do the same thing. And we're delighted to be able to come to you today and say we're still doing this, we're still growing, and we're still just as eager to help as many of you out there that are wanting this opportunity as possible. Now, I want to speak a little bit now about our team currently as it stands. So our team consists, you guessed it, of the doctors that made it all happen. Also expert advisors like myself, Edmund, Dana, a few others as well in the team now. We've got admissions teams. So these are specific to the different countries that we work with. They work very closely with the universities to make sure all your paperwork all goes through okay, so you don't have to fly back and forth trying to sort it. And then, of course, we've got our on-ground support team. They're the ones that really help you to settle in when you're trying to get in, get sorted, get accommodation, get on with your studies. So I'd like to introduce now my colleague Dana, who's going to speak a little bit about some of the benefits of studying abroad, because this is something we get asked quite often. Thank you, Dana.
Hello, thank you, Tom. And it's quite exciting to see everyone here very excited to learn about their opportunities to study in Europe. My name is Dana and I'm an advisor. I speak to so many students, advising them about what's best universities for them, and we help them. As Tom and Edmund have introduced, we help with a journey to help a student achieve their dream and become doctors. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the advantages of studying abroad. When I speak to students, I get to learn a lot about, when they go to Europe, I learn a lot about what they found is the best part about Europe. And from the screen, you can see that there's many advantages we can discuss. From these advantages is that the degrees are globally recognized. You have students from all over the world that come to study medicine in Europe in English programs, where the programs are fully taught in English language. And also one of the best things about studying in Europe is the flexible admission requirements. Some universities have entrance exams, some have interviews, some have no entrance exam. So we'll be preparing you with that. Our team of experts will be giving you material sufficient enough to help you ace the exam, pass it with flying colors. In addition to the affordable tuition fees, whatever your budget is, we'll always manage to find a university that suits your budget, especially that the fees are very affordable in Europe, ranging from between a affordable range of fees and the high quality of education. In addition to many more advantages that we can look at also on here, like international students come from all over the world. You get to meet students from every corner, learn about their cultures, about their backgrounds. And best part is you'll be able to go back to your home country and practice medicine. Plus, of course, the possibility of applying to more than one option. You have the option to apply to several countries. If you're applying, for example, to a specific country, you can apply to more than one university. There are separate applications. And best part is the modern facilities they have, where students get to experience great practical experience. They enjoy it. They get to learn a lot from their doctors who are from different countries. They learn very different things and they enjoy that experience. And we're not going to forget the competition for entry. As we know, it's less competitive in Europe because we're talking about an international course. So you'll get to have a higher chance of getting accepted, especially if you have experts who've been doing this for years working on your application. So we look forward to have you all join us in Europe and tell us more about the advantages that you like. Back to you, Edmund.
Thanks, Dana, for explaining the great reason why more and more students are choosing this path. And we've seen over the years that a lot more students are inspired to want to pursue medicine or even dentistry. And because of that, it's become extremely competitive to get in. You have so many students applying with less seats and competing for it. And to tell you a bit more about the current medical school and the state of it, I'd like to invite back Tom to tell you about this. Tom?
Yes, thank you, Edmund. So, as you can see here, this is a graph showing the applicants versus the seats available within the UK. This is just over the past few years, and you can see it's a dramatic increase. Medicine in the UK is only becoming more and more popular. Now, we're sharing this because it's not only relevant to the UK, but we're seeing it in many other countries as well. But the statistics here really sum it up for a lot of countries, for a lot of our students, where the applicants and the people wanting to study keep going up and up, and the seats available are just not increasing enough to match up to that. And what we're then seeing is obviously a lot more people that are looking to study abroad every single year. So looking on the flip side, what about the medical workforce? What about the actual doctors that we have? So this is the ironic part, is the UK needs around 50,000 new doctors just to meet the EU average. 50,000. Now, because of that, they are happy to take on any good doctor. The UK is not a difficult place to get registration, and they take on a lot of international, competent and confident doctors every single year. And this is what I wanted to show you next here. So here you can see the registered doctors by their country on the next slide. We'll just wait for that to come through. Here we go. So again, last few years here, let's focus on last year. Last year, there were 7,000 approximately doctors that graduated from UK medical schools and registered with the General Medical Council to work in the UK. Then there were 2,500 just from the EU countries, and then just over 10,000 from outside of the EU that registered and graduated and then registered in the UK with the GMC. So that's almost double when you look at the EU and the non-EU. So all international medical graduates that registered with the GMC, almost double that of what we are producing in the UK just by ourselves. And this just kind of goes to show how popular it's becoming and just how accessible it is for people to go abroad, have an amazing experience, and then come back and actually have the qualification to register. And this is something that we like to bring up because a lot of students ask us, and they have this mindset of, it's so hard to get into medical school in my country, so how am I ever going to be able to come back and become a doctor? But the point of the matter is, and the point to take away is, it's not difficult to come back and work. It's hard to get into the medical school because there's a lot of people fighting over a very small number of spaces. But when you're looking at actually coming to work in somewhere like the UK, they have a huge shortage of doctors, and they are willing to take anyone who has met the right requirements. You don't have to pass really difficult exams and try to get the highest scores and do all these interviews or anything like this. You just have to be a good, competent doctor that's gone to a good university and learnt what they needed to. So let's talk a little bit about medical education in Europe and what it's all about. So the medical degree itself is typically 6 years in duration. Now, usually that is split into two halves. So you've got the theoretical part. These are the preclinical years where you're going to be doing all your theory modules, all your tests, your labs, all of these sort of aspects towards building your degree. You will still have some clinical exposure, especially with certain universities. But for the most part, this is about building up your theoretical knowledge. Then you've got the practical part. So these are the clinical rotations. This is when you're going to be working day in, day out with patients, supervised by professors in a whole range of different clinical experiences, enabling you, as I said, to become a very competent doctor. And then we can have a look at dentistry. So when it comes to dentistry in Europe, it's similar, but there are slight differences. So here, some of the courses are 5 and some are 6 years. The 6 years tend to have more clinical experience, but in terms of requirements for places like the UK, it doesn't have too much of a difference. And again, the theoretical part usually covers the first half. The practical, again, working directly with patients under supervision, this comes in the second half of the degree. So bear in mind that you will, when you graduate, you would have already had years of clinical experience. We've actually had dentists who've graduated from Europe that now work in the NHS that have talked on these webinars before about how overwhelmed they were with joy when they came back and realized that they actually had sometimes more clinical experience than their peers that had studied at UK dental schools, because they really push you in these schools to make sure that you know everything you need to know when you go out to have a successful career. Now, the next one we've got up now is graduate entry medicine and dentistry. So, as I said, this is applicable to medicine and dentistry, and this is the form of graduate entry that is available in Europe. So the way this works, it's quite straightforward on the surface. If you have a relevant Bachelor of Science degree, and within that degree, you have modules and credits that you would have studied in a medical degree, then you are able to transfer those relevant credits and hours in order to allow you to go into a later year during the 6-year or the 5-year programs. So this means that instead of studying in 5 or 6 years, you can be looking at around 4 years or potentially 5 years for a 6-year medicine course. So this allows you to take what you've already learned, what you've worked so hard for with your degree already, and actually put it to some use into your medical degree. Instead of having to repeat the same subjects, you're going to be carrying on from where you left off with regards to that. Now, there's one more we want to mention and talk about, and I'm going to pass over to my colleague Dana to go through some details on that. Dana?
Yes, thank you, Tom. So another service that is a main service offered by Medlink is a transfer. This is for students who want to change universities halfway through the program. Now, the majority here are considering February intake or October intake for first year. However, we do have students who approach us and tell us that they want to do a university that's in a different place that the university they're in. They went to a university, they found out this is not the suitable place for them, it's not the suitable environment, and they're not comfortable there. They would like to change the university. So in case you're one of these students, this is your opportunity now to speak to expert doctors who have the experience with transfers to help you find the suitable university that is convenient for you and where you can continue your studies without any interruptions. Please keep in mind that transfers are based on a case-by-case assessment. So our doctors will have to look at the transcripts you have and see which universities would be a best match for you to transfer to. So in case you're one of these students who are not happy in the university you're in, don't worry, you still have the option to transfer. Please get in touch with us and our experts will be helping you with that. Now, I'd also like to talk about another important topic that students like to ask about, and it's a very common question we get, is budgeting. Students want to know how much do they need? How much is it going to cost them to study abroad? Tuition fees, living expenses, and everything all together. So a lot of students are attracted to Europe. As we mentioned in the previous slide, that one of the attractive things in Europe is the affordable fees. So many students are attracted there due to the high quality of education, high standard of education that they get with the affordable tuition fees there. The fees of universities in Europe, as you can see in front of you on the screen, they range between £4,000 up to £21,000 a year. Now, many students ask us, does this mean that if a university has higher tuition fees, it has higher quality of education? Well, the answer here is no. The tuition fees are related to the geographical location of a university, the country it's located in, and the economical situation of that country. So tuition fees that are related to a specific university are not related to the quality of education. And as you can see in front of you on the screen, there are some examples of some countries with their tuition fees and living expenses. So whatever budget you have or your parents have, we can always manage to find the great university for you to join, achieve your dreams, study medicine without having any financial burdens on you or your family. So you can continue your studies and get the best quality of education without having the financial burden. That's from me.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Dana. Now, we're often asked how we can guarantee acceptance for students into medical schools or dental schools. And we do get a lot of students are concerned about the admission requirements in Europe. And you don't need to worry. And here's why. Every single university that we work with, and we work with now, we've worked up to working with over 100 schools. The schools that we work with, we have admission team that look at the requirements specifically to ensure that your file has the highest chance of acceptance. And so if you pick a school in Italy, we will look at that option and see what requirements are needed. If you pick a school in Georgia, we will look at the requirements as needed. Some universities, if you're studying 6 years, they require your high school diploma or a document that's equivalent from your own country's high school. So for the ones in the UK, the universities might look at your A level or an equivalent. From some people from France, they might look at your international baccalaureate. So it's whatever equivalent. Some universities usually want you to have a background in biology, chemistry, physics, or math. Some universities as well that you might apply to, for the non-native speakers, they need an English proficiency certificate. And some universities, they require a simple entrance test. Now, don't worry about that. This is something that we help you. It's not like the UCAT or the BMAT. These are science tests, just to see whether you've got basic knowledge in science. And what we do is we ensure that you have all the materials that are needed to prepare you for it. Some universities just have an interview. So essentially all we do is give you a bank of questions that a lot of the students that have gotten in have, just so you're more prepared for that. And so we prepare you every step of the way, because guess what? A lot of these schools have had some of our graduates who are working, who have attended the school. So we look at the requirements, we study them, and then we look at the options that are more suitable for you. Now, some universities may not even require an entrance test or an interview. So everything might be based specifically on your academic background. Now, the rest of the admissions team here will look at all the paperwork that's required for the university's process and make sure everything is straightforward. And we will ensure that we keep you up to date throughout, translate your documents, and then ensure that you get an acceptance letter. Now, our objective and our aim is to make sure that you get your acceptance to the school. And so that means that we will work day and night to ensure that that works for you. Now, for the students that want to do graduate entry, the universities will require your Bachelor of Science degree. Now, we have to obviously be clear about this. If you want to do graduate entry abroad, the university will want something that has science-related modules or subjects in them. So, for example, a business degree wouldn't be qualified for that. But we have to look at everything to ensure that you would qualify for this. But don't be afraid about the criteria. If you look on the university's website and you're not sure, just speak to one of the advisors here and we will assist you with everything that you need. Now, let's move on to the next topic. A lot of students always ask us, what are the best medical schools out there? Or what's the best university to go to? To tell you a bit more about that, I'd like to invite back Tom to kind of give you an overview of the universities that a lot of students apply to and the ones you still can apply to this year. Tom?
Thank you, Edmund. This is a question that I am asked on a daily basis. Tom, what is the best medical school in Europe? And I tend to ask them the question back, what is the best medical school in Europe for you? Because there is so much variety and so much opportunity in Europe, and it's definitely not a case of one size fits all. You can have a look at, these are some of the most popular that we've worked with for this year, particularly for the September, October intakes. The big intakes, we've had so many students that have applied for these, and these have been some of the most popular options. So what you can see here is a lot of differences. Some places are very affordable, like you look at somewhere like Georgia, for example, very low cost on tuition, whereas somewhere like Hungary can obviously be very expensive. You've also got some places that are a lot closer to home, like Poland, for example, for UK students is a lot closer than Bulgaria, for example. There's a lot of difference. They've all got one thing in common, and that is that they all deliver very high quality of medical education that meets international recognition. So it really is a case of just sitting down, having a look through them all, asking us a bunch of questions, and just trying to work out together as a team which universities will be most suitable for you. So going on from there, we want to talk about a few of the universities in particular, just to give you a bit of a deeper insight into what the situation is with those universities. So if we start by having a look at the European University that we mentioned there. So the European University is based in the country of Georgia, and it's within their capital city, which is known as Tbilisi. Now, this university offer English taught, so 100% English taught courses in both medicine and dentistry. There is no entrance exam with this university. You will not have to prepare for one. You will not have to go through any of the science-based questions in a lot of the other universities. This one just has a general interview process. It's very straightforward to do. We help you and guide you on the entire process in order to make sure that everything goes smoothly for you with that. Tuition fees are around 4,800 euros and the living costs around 550 euros on average per month. One thing to bear in mind is this university actually has a split intake. What this means is they have different intakes throughout the year to suit different students from around the world. But it doesn't matter where you've come from, you can join any of these intakes. Currently, they're on their last remaining spaces for their December intake, which is a much quieter intake compared to ones like October that get filled up very quickly. So there are still luckily some spaces available. The next one after that is in March. And then, of course, the big one next October for those of you that will be finishing school at that point and wanting to get on and start your adventure into medicine. So having a little look at the university itself and a few pictures, we're going to start off with the libraries here. Now, these are available for all students. They've got all the materials and resources, or even if you're not looking for that, you just need a quiet space to sit down, open your laptop, get on with some studies. It's a really great environment for that. And then we've also got the laboratories here. So these are where you're going to be spending a lot of your time in the preclinical years, doing all of the lab work necessary to pass through a lot of those preclinical subjects to get you into your clinical years with patients. Going on from there, we've got some of the equipped lecture rooms here. So as you can see, some of the lecture rooms are a bit bigger, but then often you'll be in much smaller study groups that will be much more engaging, and again, all the tech that you need there. Again, for dentistry. So here's a great example of what you're going to be using in your preclinical years. So for those of you dentists there, get used to seeing these. These are phantom heads. You're going to be doing all your practicing on them before you start in the later years on real patients. And again, some of the modern equipment there. For those of you medics, you've got the equivalent here, the simulation rooms. They've got all of the latest dummies available that do all of the different procedures. You can get all the practice, so you don't have to be worried when you start on your patient clinical experience. And of course, the latest in the screen equipment there as well. Of course, the dormitories. So this is quite unique for the European university. A lot of international schools do have dormitories, but many of them don't actually allow international students with them. They've just got spaces for the native students. Now, the European university have a huge focus on international students and international recognition. So they do have dormitories available for those of you international students, single and double rooms, as you can see as well. They're really nice and conveniently located. So the extracurricular and leisure. You are going to be working and studying very hard, but of course you've still got time to enjoy yourself, and it's a really fundamental part of working hard is being able to enjoy yourself. Now, they have a lot of medical and academic championships here for those of you interested in that, research opportunities, which are fantastic. Also a bunch of sport teams. It's all very inclusive, very much a community feel with this university. That's something that we really like about the school. One of the most exciting things is, well, in my opinion, is what's written at the bottom, the exchange programs. So every year or so, they organise an all expenses paid exchange program for a group of high performing students in that year. And these could be anywhere. I think the previous ones they did within top clinical settings in France and Hungary. So they'll fly you out there. You'll be able to experience things that you've never seen before, that some medical students will never even experience, until they go into their professions and later on in their careers. And it's a great opportunity just to expand that insight even more for you. Okay, so why study at the European University? If you haven't seen a reason enough for you already, here's a few for you to have a look at. So the lecturers here, highly qualified, of course. They're also regularly trained and tested in the English language and how they teach in English, which is another really important point that we don't see from every university. Of course, as you've seen, really modern technology. Another thing to consider that is really important for a lot of our students is the location. So Tbilisi statistically is one of the safest capital cities in the world. It's a really friendly place, and the whole city has a nice community feel. It's very diverse as well, being sort of the bridge between Europe and Asia. There's a lot of mixture of culture, and it's a really pleasant place for a lot of international students to call their home while they're studying. Okay, so moving on from that one, we've got another university here that we're just going to brush up on. So this is Pleven Medical University. This is one of our really popular ones in Bulgaria. Now they teach the medical course, again, 100% English taught. They've been doing it for a very, very long time. So they've got loads of great experience teaching international students. These ones do have an entrance exam, but as my colleague Edmund mentioned before, it's nothing to be that worried about. This isn't a UCAT, a BMAT, a GAMSAT. It's not really difficult. If you're really focused and you've prepared well with your science knowledge, particularly in biology and chemistry, you'll be fine with this test. We give you all the tailored materials that you need, so you'll be able to ace it as long as you study hard beforehand. Tuition fees, again, a bit on the higher side here, €7,500 per year. And the cost of living is similar to Tbilisi, around €550 per month. One thing to mention about this university, their only intake is in February of each year, and the deadline has now passed. Now, we still wanted to bring it up and to mention it because it's a fantastic school, and we're proud to be able to work with them and many others. But it's just a reminder for those of you who are looking to go for the winter intakes, a lot of the schools are actually coming up very close to the deadlines now for winter. Of course, we still have a bit of time now in order to look at the October intakes, but for things like February intakes, the March intake in Georgia and the December intake, you really have to get a move on if you want to get that place. So let's have a little look at this university just to give you an idea of what medical schools are like in Bulgaria, because it's one of the most popular countries in the whole of Europe for international students. So here you can see the campus, really nice location within the city, a nice little park that they've got out the front there as well. And then we've got some of the laboratories, very similar to what you saw with the European university. Again, it's all the highest technology that you need to become a really competent doctor, especially in your initial preclinical years. Moving on from there, you've got, again, the simulation rooms. They've got some virtual reality equipment where you can actually live watch surgeries being done, which is a great insight for preclinical students. Special equipment demonstrations. Yeah, so this Da Vinci machine here was actually the first in Eastern Europe to be used, and it's a robotic surgery machine. So doctors can actually do remote surgery. First one of its kind in Eastern Europe. Fantastic bit of equipment, and amazing for students to be able to witness something like that, especially when they've not even graduated as a doctor. It's really good. Now, of course, you've got all your extracurriculars. Bulgaria is known for its snow sports, again, quite similar with Georgia. Lots of parties and parades. One thing that they do nicely in Pleven is the international celebration parades, where they celebrate all international people's different cultures, and everyone comes together. They have a party, they celebrate, they do a parade. It's a really lovely thing to be a part of. And again, just shows how nice a lot of these universities are at making the students feel comfortable and included within their country while they're there studying. So yeah, fantastic place. As I said, unfortunately, deadline did pass. It was only a few days ago that we ran out on that one, but there are plenty of others still available, and we'll go through one of them now. So I'm going to pass over to my colleague Edmund, who's going to tell us a little bit about a top university in Latvia. Edmund?
Thank you so much, Tom. So the university I'm going to talk to you about is called Riga Stradins University. This is the university is in the capital of Riga. Very wonderful cultural city with excellent transport links and other educational European hubs. Now, they offer medicine for 6 years, which you graduate as a doctor of medicine. Dentistry is 5 years, and then you graduate there as a doctor of medicine and surgery. Now, you don't need to worry about preparing for an entrance test here. Everything is based on your application. And this is where our team will create a strong file for you to ensure that you have the highest chance of acceptance. Now, their tuition fees are approximately €12,000 per year, and that's for medicine. And for dentistry, you're looking at around 15,000 per year. And the cost of living, you're looking at anything between 600 to about €800 per month. And that includes your rent, your bills, your food, any other living expenses you might have. Now, Riga has 2 intakes per year. So they have the September intake, which is finished, and then they also have the February intake. Now, we've started applications for that. So make sure that if you are looking to join the winter cohorts, take advantage. Let's have a chat and see whether or not you would qualify to join. Now, the university's dental faculty allows students to start practical classes from the beginning of the course before they start seeing live patients. And their simulation centers are equipped with up-to-date mannequins that allows you to have early hands-on experience. Now, it's not all it's not all work at the school. They also organize extracurricular activities for students, like if you're into volleyball, if you're into any basketball, if you're into any dance classes, other fun building activities. And these really are in place to ensure that you have an outlet to express your creative skills and talent. And they also have field trips and ice fishing days out. They organize graduation ceremonies for the students finishing, Freshers Week, New Year's parties, and then these are organized all by the school's community. And they also have 16 international student societies, which is brilliant. So you have the British Society, you've got Irish Society, you've got a Muslim Society and a Christian one. You also have the Dental Association. There's so many more there. Now, as always, all the work is done by our team. We've done all the due diligence, and the university here is recognized by many medical council and dental councils globally. Now, why should you study here? Well, something that they're very, very proud of is that they've spent 30 plus years of teaching international students. Now, about 26% of their students there are international, who have come from the UK, the US, Australia, Canada, Africa, and many more. And one thing a lot of the students really love there is the small class sizes, which ranges from 10 to 14 students. So it really makes for a really good engaging lectures and seminars and labs. And the other thing as well, they allow the students to have early hands-on experience, really from the beginning of the course to prepare you, their students, for their clinical placements. Now, another university to talk about is the Medical University of Silesia. This is in Poland. Now, Poland has become one of the top destinations to pursue medicine or dentistry. Now, dentistry is 5 years, and you graduate there as a doctor of dental surgery. And medicine is 6 years, where you graduate as a doctor of medicine. Now, this university has graduated and educated over 50,000 medical graduates there. And they opened back in the 1940s. Now, interestingly, they are the first medical school in Poland, or in Europe for that matter, to start teaching medicine back in the 90s. So it made it a very popular destination or university to go to back in the day. Now, they do have an entrance test and a short interview, but don't worry, this is something that we prepare you for with all the materials that you need to ace it. The entrance test consists of biology and chemistry, so basic sciences. And the tuition fees for medicine, you're looking at around 11,200 euros a year. And then for dentistry, you're looking around 12,000 euros per year. Now, the tuition fees can be paid semesterly, and the living cost ranges from 600 to around 800 euros per month, which includes everything. And this university also has 2 intakes per year. So you also still have the chance to join the February intake, which we have started applications for. Now, their state-of-the-art labs are really comparable to other medical schools across the globe. And the halls are really equipped with the resources and all the informative seminars that they have and the presentations. Now, the dental faculty also provides phantom heads for the early development of your clinical skills. And their simulation centers, really as a medical faculty, it also allows you to have early hands-on experience and the chance for you to develop your skills before you start doing your clinical years. Now, we also have activities for all students, whether you're looking to get improvement in your cooking skills, if you're into painting, climbing, boat sailing, horse riding, swimming, maybe you want a bit of dancing. They have some futsal, And they also organize graduation ceremonies, Freshers Week, and New Year's parties as well. They have national events which they organize, which then brings in a lot of students from different universities. Now, as always, this university is recognized in the UK here by the Medical Council, but also you can use a degree in many, many medical councils across the globe, and also for dentistry as well. Now, why would you study here? Well, being located in a vibrant city, it's really known for its hosting a lot of festivals over the summer season. And the students can also take a break from the medical journey and go and take a trip with their friends, to their nature reserves, because you get to have that at the city. And the school has really over 2,000 international students that are enrolled in their English program. So you're bound to build a really good network of students all over the world. And really, we're always looking out for the best medical schools out there for you to take advantage of. So these universities, as we mentioned, some of them are still open in the UK, open for you to apply. So take advantage if you have received your results and you'd like to see whether you have an option to apply. Now let's move on to the next topic. To tell you a bit about how we can help, because a lot of students really want to know, well, how do you do all of this? And there's a lot of work that goes into it. But to tell you a bit more about it, I'd like to invite Tom to explain how it all works. Tom?
Thank you, Edmund. Yes, how can Medlink students help you? I'm sure this is something that you've already been wondering about. So you can see here there's a few parts that it's broken down into. So initially it's about the free consultation. That's done with myself or one of my colleagues as an advisor. From that point on, you've then got application management, help with settling in, and full ongoing support. So let's take a bit of a deeper dive into that to give you an idea. So the free consultation, you can see a few points here that give you a bit of an indication about what it is that we will do when we're on the phone with you. Now, the main thing that we're trying to do is find out everything that would help you to make the best decision in terms of a university. So we'll be looking at your financial budget. We'll be looking at what you've achieved academically and what universities you would qualify for. We'll be looking at what your preferences are, even if it's something like you prefer living in a big city or a small city. Every single detail to us matters, because the more comfortable you are with your final decision, the better your chances of having a lot of success when you get out there and when you get started on that adventure. So you've got there, you've made it through, you've signed up on a university. What's the next step? It's all about the application. So this is when things go over to our admissions specialist. So they're not like myself with a general view over many different countries. These admissions teams are specifically honed in skills on specific countries and universities, which they have worked with for a number of years. They know the teams there very well, and they know exactly how the applications need to be done, from the legalizing, the translating, and everything else that needs doing. Now, this is also where our teams are that update and give you the specific materials you need to prepare with. And that's done on a yearly basis. So we'll look at the questions that are asked in these entrance exams in biology and chemistry, sometimes maths, physics, with a couple of the universities as well. Or like Edmund was saying, for the Silesia interview, they still have those science-based questions, and we've got people working on that to have the best resources and materials available for you, so you've got the best possible chance of success. Of course, they'll also be helping you with any specific queries that you have with regards to things. So let's say you've got through, you've made it, congratulations. Now you're looking at settling in a brand new country, away from friends and family. You're about to make a lot of new friends, and you're about to call Medlink students your second family, because this is what our support team are all about. They want to make sure that you are comfortable and you are happy and you are supported in the country that you're coming to. So that means that they will be picking you up from the airport. They will be helping you to find accommodation. They'll be helping you to get to know the city. They're the ones to ask for if there's any specific restaurants you're looking for, or any kind of shops with certain items that you need to get, to live your day-to-day lives. And they will support you throughout. So if you ever need anything from our team, we have teams on the ground. We have a team in the UK. We have teams all across Europe. We're all here to support you, and we want to see your success. And of course, even when you've graduated, we will then be helping you with guidance, tips, and support on how to get back, go through the whole registration process in your country of choice, whether it's with the GMC or the AMC in Australia or in the US, wherever it may be. We want to be able to help you. We want to see that success. We want to share in that happiness and those proud moments with you. So from day one, all up until the end, we just want to support and help and make sure that you make the best decisions possible for your future. Okay, Edmund, back to you.
Thank you so much, Tom. So there's been so many questions that have come in. We will be spending some time to answer them as well, but there have been some that were asked before the webinar started. So we're going to go through a few of them, and this is a chance for some of the students that are here tonight to also share their experiences as well. So let's look at the first question. What is the success rate of dental applicants, and is it possible not to be able to secure a place? Now, I'd like to bring back my colleague Dana to help really answer this question. Dana, are you there?
Yes, Edmund, I'm here. So that's a great question here. What's the success rate of dental applications? This goes back to the admission process that we discussed, that it depends on the qualifications you have and the requirements of universities. Each university has different requirements. So our expert advisors here, me, Edmund, and Tom are here to get on a call with you, see what do you have, what qualifications you have, to tell you which universities you qualify for. And of course, each university has different requirements and each student has different qualifications. So we are here to advise you what's the best university where you can get a place and we can guarantee your admission.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dana. Tom, as you speak to a lot of students, how do you help the students to reassure them in terms of, let's look at the first question again, because I think it's important that the students understand exactly how and the work that goes into it, especially the students that are looking to do dentistry. How do you reassure the students about the work that goes into it, make sure that they have a good acceptance to the school that they apply to?
Of course, it's not as simple as just waving a wand and being you guaranteed. I wish it was that easy, but unfortunately it's not. These are medical schools, these are dental schools. There is a lot that needs to be done, and what a lot of people that apply by themselves, I think in fact more of them you'll find with most cases, with some of the most popular universities, the mistakes that they make are in the application itself and not actually in these straightforward entrance tests that have to be completed. And because of that, they're not able to progress and get their application through because they need to get all of the documents sorted correctly. Other times, students might be spending so long trying to sort all these documents that they don't spend enough time preparing for the test, and they might not be able to get the mark required. Now, although it's given absolutely 100% that going to apply is more accessible in Europe, it is becoming more and more popular every year. And that means that the materials we give you, you need to sit there and really focus on them. Now, we can guarantee that your papers are going to go through. We have more than enough confidence in our team, and we have seen them be able to do this for thousands of students over many, many years now. We know that mistakes are not made. Everything is checked once, twice, triple checked. This is how the hard work that has to go in to ensure that guarantee. And then with the materials, we are looking at them so closely and pushing our students so much to focus on those so that they've got the best possible chance of passing that test. And that is just a brief overview really of what it is that we do to ensure that there is that guarantee, that there is that really high chance that the student is going to get the first university that it is that they're looking to apply to. But of course, it does depend on the school a lot. And as Dana was saying before, that is something we help you with, to try and choose one that manages your expectations and the accessibility that that school has for you as an individual, to make sure that you've got a good chance of acceptance. All right, Edmund, back to you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Let's have a look at the next question. How long does it take to make and process an application? Fantastic question. I'll bring back Dana, and then I will invite one of the students who has joined us tonight to talk about their experience throughout the journey. Dana, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. So, how long does it take to make a process and process an application? Now, it depends on the university, and as Tom was saying, there's a lot of work that we have to put through, and in every university we have a team of experts, of admission, of doctors who work on the application. They do the translation, the notarization, we build the file with the student, and of course sometimes we have to help the student prepare some documents. Sometimes students require personal statements that we also guide with the process of writing, and usually it takes around 6 to 8 weeks to start the file, to have the complete file with us. But of course, it depends on the university also. Some universities have an entrance exam, so the process of the application finishes, then the student has to take the entrance exam. We also have to help him prepare for it. But usually the range of the applications, usually 6 to 8 weeks. That's
fantastic. Thank you so much, Dana. And there is also a reason why it's always advisable to apply early, because the universities have deadlines, but the deadlines means the time of submission. So obviously there are a lot of things that must go into the process to ensure that you actually get your application to the school. Now, a student that we helped a few years ago, who's actually currently studying in Poland and went through the process with us. And I'd like to invite him to talk about his experience through the application process and how he's finding life in Silesia. Let's see if he's there. Trudy, are you there with us? I think Trudy is currently not with us at the minute. Let's see if we can find another student that can join us. Mo, who's also another student in Silesia. Celeste, how was your experience, well, starting the application and the process through it? Because you've been with us for quite a while now.
Hello, hi. Can you hear me? Is everything?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, about 3 years ago, I contacted Medlink to discuss transfers. So I was at Warsaw University of Medicine originally, but I wanted to change the university. So I contacted Medlink and they gave me a step-by-step guide in how to apply and what to apply and what documents to give. And they basically took over everything. So it was very good in terms of like, it takes off the pressure from the student when we have like the exam to prepare for. And at the time I was a bit stressed because obviously moving from Warsaw to Katowice, Silesia, I just didn't want to deal with all of the stresses. So that's why I used Medlink. And since after the application process, after admission, you have someone that you meet at when you arrive to the Katowice, for example. So for me, I was just driving from Warsaw to Katowice, but I was welcomed by a Medlink person, on the ground support. And since then, I've always had someone to talk to or to help. And whenever I needed to contact Medlink, contact anything regarding administration or anything, Medlink was always there, and it was really easy to get help or to get an answer to a question. And the Katowice University of Medicine, so that's where I'm studying now. The university is really nice. It's like, it's in my class, it's actually pretty short because obviously 3 years ago, COVID, but the student like diversity is actually quite large. There's in my class now, students from France, Italy, Sweden. So it's really diverse and it's comfortable, and it's nice to have this kind of environment, which I was wary of because obviously Poland and being British, I was like, will I make some friends? So it was perfect. And everything so far in my journey to become a doctor is being swift because of Medlink.
Thank you so much for that, Mo. And we're really glad that you managed to join us and share your experience with us. Thank you so much. Another student I'd like to invite also to talk about their experience and their journey is Iram. Iram, are you there?
I am here, yes. Can you, there we go.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, we can hear and see you, yes.
Perfect.
How was your process, I suppose, the process with the application, and then obviously how things have been for you so far?
Right, yeah, so I actually moved from Ukraine, as Medlink students know. I moved from Ukraine when the war started. So for me, Medlink helped a lot, I think, with my transcript, with my process, I think, to get notarized and everything. So I applied in March, and I think it did take a couple of months. Understandably, I think during the war, it was a little bit tricky to get a hold of transcripts and stuff. But I applied, and after that, I think I wrote my personal statement, and I gave an interview as well to the European University. After this, they did ask for, I think, my personal statement and then my transcript from Ukraine. After this, then I got notarized from the ministry. And then after that, I think it was smooth sailing. When I joined the university in, I think, June, I joined for second semester, and I've just completed it. And thankfully, it went really, really well, actually. And I study in the European University in Georgia, and it did go really well, thankfully.
That's great. And as you were saying, you've had a bit of a journey, I suppose, and
Yeah.
you've been with us throughout each of them. And so
Yeah.
how did you find your transition from going there, from Ukraine, changing environments to where you are now?
Yeah, so I will say in the beginning, it was very daunting, but I think Medlink was there to sort of help with any problems that we had, answer any questions, because of course we're moving from one country to another country. It's very daunting, especially during university. It's already such a stressful time, but thankfully Medlink was there to help us. And yeah, I think compared to Ukraine, I do definitely enjoy Georgia more. That's just my personal experience. I think they're very sort of high tech and very sort of organized. I have American teachers who have actually studied like medicine in America, and they've come back to their home country. So their English is amazing. And I've got teachers from Germany who are very, very intelligent, so I think I'm just enjoying it a lot here right now.
That's great. Thank you. We have some more questions for you, but obviously, thank you so much for now. We'll come back to you. Thank you so much.
That's fine. No worries.
I think we have Chudi here, who's now joined us again to talk about his experience and how the application was for him. Chudi?
Hello?
Hello, we're here.
Hi, so just, what was the question?
How was your experience with the application with Medlink, and how's it been for you since being at Silesia?
So the process was really good. As you know, you're my first point of contact, and it was in the middle of the pandemic, so a lot of communication was quite bad in terms of trying to reach out to places. But obviously I contacted you, and it was just really straightforward. Even though it was like mid-pandemic, I was getting all the answers I needed. I was getting swift responses. And, it made it really easier, because I was really questioning whether I was actually going to start this process, apply to medical school. And so I was kind of on the fence a bit. So obviously the whole process, because of how easy it was and how straightforward you made it, that really did encourage me to actually just take, this step and go ahead with it.
Fantastic. And so far, how's your journey been so far in Silesia?
So far, halfway done with the journey. Finished the first, because I transferred. I finished the first 2 years. So right now I'm in the hospital rotations. And yeah, it's been good. I'm happy with the progress. I'm happy that, I'm finally at this stage. Before I applied, I was always thinking to myself, well, when am I going to get to this stage? When am I going to get to this stage? And then, finally I'm at this stage where, okay, I'm at this stage where I'm like at the hospitals now, seeing patients, not just reading the textbook and seeing what's in the textbook. I'm actually seeing what they're talking about and what this symptom look like and what that symptom looks like. And it's just it's actually really nice and a new experience for me. So, and the life there is very easy, it's very convenient. Literally, I don't know if Silesia, like how the university is like we're right in the center of everything. The city center is like an Uber ride away. The shops are all local. The dorm, if you live in the dorms, the university is right next to it. So, if you ever, you can literally run from the dorms to the university, and you won't be out of breath. It's really close by. So just everything's so convenient, and that all those little things really do help, because if you go to a new place and things are just out of the way, or getting to university every day is a trek, or you have to get on this or get on that to get there, it just becomes daunting, and it becomes it becomes harder. So just the convenience of everything makes everything really nice and really straightforward.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We have some more questions for you, which you will answer during the live ones. But we wanted to bring you in just to talk about kind of your experience so far. But thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Looking forward to it.
All right. Let's look at the next question. Has there been a big increase in applications to Europe since COVID happened? Yes, it has been. In fact, a lot of students now are really inspired to pursue medicine more than ever. And it's something we always say here, that doctors are always going to be heroes. But I think since the pandemic, a lot of people that put off maybe wanting to go do medicine have now thought, I better get on and start doing this. So we've had a biggest increase since the pandemic happened. And it's been amazing seeing a lot of students and their journeys and their stories and what's inspired them to pursue medicine. There is a student that I would like to bring in who's also studying at the European University. And I believe since he's been there, so there's been an increase in students going to that school. And his name is Raja. Raja, are you there?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
How are you? You all right?
I'm good. How are you doing yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Could you tell us a bit about your experience, and have you seen an increase in the students arriving since you've been there?
Yeah, so what my experience is, I did a degree in Exeter, so did neuroscience there, and obviously I did have, I was fortunate to get some places, but that was for undergraduate medicine, which wouldn't have suited, the time frame I had, and also.
Sorry to cut you.
Yeah?
Can you see my camera?
Yeah, I can see your camera.
Okay, I can't see yours. That's why I was asking.
1 second, hold on. There we go. Can you see it now?
Perfect. Yes, brilliant. Thank you.
But yeah, so what I was saying was, I had an offer, but it was for undergraduate. And as some of you may know, doing your first degree in the UK, second undergraduate degree is not funded. So that was a bit out of budget, and also a bit out of time frame for me. I didn't want to spend another 6 years in university, if I'll be honest with you. So luckily, I found Georgia just through some light research myself. And since I've been here, I mentioned quite right, there's been a much more increase of intake. So I know that in October alone, there's something like about 300-400 just coming this year alone. But I've noticed a lot more students coming in as the year's been going out, and all these different intakes we've been having. A lot of people from the UK actually it's become more of a popular choice due to it just speaks much better for your pocket, and still having that high level of education that we get here. And again, you probably just research yourself, but like what they do clinicals, like English, OSCE, what they do in UK universities as well. So a lot of people have come in and actually found it quite a great experience for themselves, seeing the city as well. And I've met quite a lot of UK people so far in university, and hopefully it's just growing.
Fantastic. Thank you. There will be some more questions for you, but thank you so much for sharing your experience with us so far.
That's all right.
Let's look at the next question. As these countries are quite limited with the amount of person of color there, would it be a good idea to go there as a Black person? This is a fantastic question. Our demographic of students are ethnic minorities. A lot of them tend to, are either Africans, brown students, and we also have Black students. And so one of the main concerns about students is going somewhere they might feel, uncomfortable. And we want to make sure that you're in an environment that you feel very comfortable, that is very diverse, that is also very safe. And so a lot of our students that we look for the right universities and the environment where it's diverse for you to be. Some of our students have religious backgrounds. So it makes it for a really comfortable environment when they go somewhere that they can still continue that. And really to share a bit of their experience, I like to bring in Shinga, who is a student in University of Niš in Serbia, to talk about his experience there as an ethnic minority. Are you there, Shinga?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you?
I'm all good. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming. Could you share a bit of your experience as a person of color studying in Serbia?
Well, studying in Serbia has been quite interesting because initially, coming into Eastern Europe, I always had this idea that Eastern Europe is kind of sort of racist. They have a mentality where they don't welcome people of color or people from different religions. But then as I got here, I began to understand that the mentality is actually different. They're more welcoming to people of different colors and religions, and they're more welcoming. And it's allowed me to express myself and be more comfortable. I do understand there's a stigma of if you're coming from a third world country into Europe, there's a stigma. Is it racist? Am I going to receive any discrimination? And I think we don't live in such times where these things happen anymore. I think everybody's more living in a sort of like a global village, especially in places like Serbia. It's very comfortable. Almost everybody here speaks good English or some general forms of English. So the sort of communications that you have and the different sorts of cultures that you present to each other, it's very balanced and okay.
Fantastic. And how has your journey been so far, being at Niš?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been good so far. I mean, quite a lot of the Serbians have been interested in wanting to know who I am, the sort of background I'm coming from. So I've made a lot of friends and built myself a good network around people, which is pretty good for me because it helps me improve my communication and my networking skills.
Fantastic. What is the University of Niš like?
It's beautiful, to be honest. I saw pictures of it and I wasn't quite too sure until I got there myself and went inside the building, saw the different structures, the hospitals. The facilities are very modern. The doctors speak excellent English with excellent education. And I can generally give it, if it was a hotel, I can give it a 5-star rating.
Fantastic. You're in your clinical years. How was that for you at the moment?
Yeah, so far it's so good. I'm learning quite a lot. It's quite sort of challenging because all that theoretical knowledge, now you have to apply it into the practical. So you can watch as many YouTube videos as you want, read as many textbooks as you want, but when it gets to the actual physical contact and looking at the manifestations of different symptoms, it can be challenging, but then also rewarding because you get to finally identify and see all of the things that you've been reading. So for me, I'm at that stage where now I'm starting to see quite a lot of different things, and now the medical knowledge that I have, I'm starting to apply it in different spheres of medicine, like obstetrics, pediatrics, rehabilitation. So I'm using different angles to approach different things, and it's only making myself improve as a doctor.
Fantastic. Something you said quite well is it's been challenging. I mean, it would be, I would think you're crazy if you said it's been an easy journey, because studying medicine is a challenging course. And so it does push you and it does challenge you. So thank you so much for mentioning that, because we don't want people just to think, yes, the process might seem very straightforward, and then it's just going to be an easy journey throughout. It does challenge you. So thank you.
It does.
There will be some more questions coming for you, but thank you for answering this for us.
Appreciate it.
Another student that I want to bring back is Iram, and the reason I want to is because a lot of our students, some of the students are Muslim. Some of the girls, they do wear the hijab, and they want to be in an environment that they feel very, very comfortable in. Iram, how's your journey been so far in Georgia as a young Muslim British girl?
I can honestly say I've been so welcomed in Georgia. I think my fellow hijabis can relate. When you go to a new area or a new place, you get scared thinking, will I be accepted? How are people going to sort of react to me? Because not everywhere is so welcoming as England, but going to Georgia, you do have this sort of stress at the back of your mind. But I can honestly say there are many, many Muslims there. Many Muslims, especially in our university, I think, because there's many Arabic students as well, and so many girls wear the hijab, and I think Georgians are so used to it, they've seen it so much, and they're very, very welcoming towards us as well. I think my landlord, it's so sweet, honestly. She's like, oh, can you teach me and stuff, like she's so interested in learning like what we're about and stuff. And so it just shows that they're very nice people, they're very welcoming, and I've never felt any sort of discomfort or anything like that in Georgia, never. Fantastic,
thank you. And I know culturally, you're very close, and I did speak with you a few times as well, very close to your family. And a lot of the students that I speak to who are also Muslim, they struggle because it's a big step for them. There will be a lot of them watching tonight. What advice would you give, the young Muslim British or, even American that are watching tonight? What advice would you give them?
Oh, so I can imagine, and I actually can relate. When students are moving to a different country, it can honestly be terrifying and it can be daunting. But I think the one thing you need to think about is this degree, it's honestly so rewarding that when you're there and you're studying, it seems scary now, but when you're there and you're studying, it feels like the best feeling in the world. And then you're surrounded by your friends as well, the friends you'll make in university. And the things which were so terrifying and daunting first, they seem so little. And so it is hard to leave your family behind and stuff, but you need to think you're going for a good cause. You're going to go and you're making your future. If you keep this in your mind and you keep it in your heart, honestly, it gets so much easier over time. And then when you're in university, you're in that university life. So it's the best feeling, honestly.
Thank you so much, Iram, for that. And we'll come back to you with the live questions. Thank you. Let's have a look at the next question. How safe is Georgia from the war in Ukraine and the Russian attack? I think this is also a question for the students actually studying in Georgia at the moment. Raja, are you there? I think Raja is...
Hello?
Oh, hello.
Yeah, so in terms of the situation itself, actually, it's quite safe. We haven't heard anything about there being an impact from the war that's happening in Ukraine, Russia here. I've been here for the whole year. Last year, and I've come back and I've heard nothing about it. All I've heard is that there's just a lot of people actually coming to Georgia because it's safe. And they're setting up here, but there's nothing about the war itself reaching it. So for students itself, it's quite safe. We've just been given an email from our university, European University, that everything's going to be completely offline. no hold back, nothing on on the laptop or anything. So in terms of that way, I think everything's quite safe here.
Fantastic, thank you. And I think this is more reassurance just for all the students that are worried about going to these countries as well, that it is safe to be in Georgia too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next question. Do you have to be able to speak the native language of the country you choose to study in? This is a great question. And I'll bring back one of the advisors to answer this. Dana, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Edmund. That's a great question, by the way. A lot of students want to know, and they have a concern. When they speak to me, they say, if I'm going to study in Georgia, for example, and I don't speak Georgian language. Well, the course is fully taught in English. So you're not going to need the language for your studies. And the university is actually going to be helping you because they give you a few hours per week for the native language to be learning the basics. And, you'll pick it up in the street with the university's help. When you reach year 2 or 3, you'll find yourselves able to open a conversation with people. And talking about lifestyle and everyday life, many students ask me, all right, university's in English, but how about supermarkets, pharmacies, wherever I go? When we're talking about these areas that have universities in, for example, Tbilisi has many universities, they have thousands of international students. So in supermarkets, they expect international students, and you'll find people that speak a bit of English, you speak a bit of the native language, and you'll find yourself coping on really well. Sometimes we have students who learn the language, like put a lot of effort into it. They enjoy it and they like it. They become fluent.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's a fun way of really engaging with the kind of the natives, and it really makes for good relationships as well as when you're in the hospital, because it does relax the patient, whether it's in the dental hospital or the hospital itself. Thank you so much, Dana. Let's have a look at the next question. What sort of grades do you need for medicine or dentistry in Europe? Fantastic question. And this is something I'll let my colleague Tom come in and answer.
Hi, thanks, Edmund. What sort of grades do you need for medicine or dentistry in Europe? Okay, there's no real short answer for this question. And that's because, as we mentioned before, there is so much variety when it comes to the admission of these countries in Europe. It's more a case of, okay, give us a call. What subjects do you have? What grades do you have? And then we'll work out what universities are available for you from there. And there really is opportunities for everyone. As long as you've got a passion and a real commitment to study medicine and really work hard for it, or dentistry, then we can find a school that's suitable for you. Sometimes even people with a non-science background that have maybe gone into careers in other ways. We've had lawyers that have come in and become doctors before. We have engineers that have come in and become doctors before. There are a multitude of different ways that you can reach this goal, and so many different options available to you. Some of them, they are going to look a bit like the UK. They are going to have really high grade requirements. They are going to be in those nasty subjects, biology, chemistry, physics, maths, from high school, A-level, leaving cert, whichever it is that you may have done. But there are others that will be more flexible. There are others that have their own tests and they don't mind so much about what you've done before, because they want to compare all the international students together based on the one test that they do. And in that case, you might be at an advantage because the schooling that you might have done may even be a lot more advanced than the entrance test that you're being asked to do. For other people in other places, it may be a bit harder. So it really depends on the school itself. But there's nothing specific. If you want to study medicine, don't hold back. Give us a call and we can help you regardless of what you've got. I know that definitely from in the UK, we've got this real stigma of if you're not an A-star student or an A student, you're not good enough to be a doctor. And this couldn't be more wrong. I have seen people with low grades. As I said, I've seen engineers, lawyers, people in different professions, people that have done different A-levels that have done better than those top A-star students in the sciences. It really comes down to how passionate you are about helping others, how much you want to learn and study and work hard towards medicine. and there will always be a school that's right for you. And we look forward to helping you find that.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much, Tom. As we still have you here, let's look at the next question, because I think that also ties in quite well with what you're talking about. I'm going into year 13 right now. When do I actually start my application to study in Europe? And am I able to apply to med schools in the UK and Europe too? It's a great question.
Year 13, we've all been there before. We understand how you're feeling right now. It's a stressful year. You've got so much pressure on your shoulders, and you've got to try and work out where you're going to go next at the same time as trying to get the best that you can get in your A-levels. We completely get where you're coming from. When do I start my application to study in Europe? The short answer is as soon as you are ready to. There is no time that is too early with applying to study abroad. European applications are increasing exponentially every single year. You all saw the numbers from earlier with the amount of UK applicants that are increasing. Well, the European applicants are going up just the same, if not more. So that means that a lot of the popular universities are actually filling up on their number of spaces that they can take on for applicants before their official deadlines. So the best thing you can do is put in plenty of research, a bit of time now. You know, you haven't got all your A-level exams, you haven't got all your UK interviews to worry about. You can spend a bit of time just having a look through, finding a good option abroad and just getting started on it. Now, the great thing about going through an organization like Medlink Students is that we run everything in the background for you. We'll give you the materials, we'll ask you for a few documents that we need, and then we'll get on with it. We'll get out your hair. We know how busy you are. We know that your number one priority is to get those good A-level grades, and we will leave you to it. We'll give you the materials, so when you've got a moment spare, maybe once a week at this time of year, you can have a look through them, just to remind yourself of what kind of biology and chemistry aspects are going to be in the entrance test. That's if you're applying to somewhere with an entrance test. But it's just about making sure that you've got that choice there. And there's nothing worse for us as advisors than a student coming to us at this time of year, coming back to us in 6 months' time or 8 months' time and saying, hey, Tom, you know that university we spoke about 6-9 months ago? I'm ready to apply, I'm ready to go. And then we've got to turn around and say to them, I'm really sorry, we didn't know this before, but there's been so many applications, we just can't put your file through anymore. It's the worst, most devastating news when you spend so long finding that perfect option for it then to just dissolve away and have to look into something else. So that's the best thing to do. And the other question, am I able to apply to med schools in the UK and Europe? Yes. So UCAS allows you to apply for 5 schools. Applying abroad has no effect on that. If you wanted to, you could apply to 20 schools abroad and it would still not have an effect. Granted, it would cost a lot in all the fees for all of the applications, but it is possible. Because you're applying privately into private education abroad, even if it's with a state medical school, it's an international program, so it doesn't coincide. It has no negative effect on your UCAS applications. This is again a common misconception that people have concerns it will affect it, but there is no involvement between the two. It's like applying for a job at the same time as doing your UCAS application. They will never have any effect on each other. So you don't have to worry about it. You can set up your European application, even if it's for a plan B in the background, just in case the UK ones don't go through, and you can just be safe in the knowledge then of the next year, all the pressures you're going to have. The one thing that you don't have to worry about is come September, October, you are getting into medical school. Whether it's in the UK or abroad, you've got your space and it's all sorted. Thanks, Edmund. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Let's have a look at the next question. What is the clinical exposure like in European medical university? Great question. And I think I'll let Shinga come back and really help answer this, because he's in the clinical phase at the University of Niš.
Yeah, as for the clinical exposure, wherever you go throughout Europe, there's quite a lot of clinical exposure you get, because I think everybody understands how important it is for you to engage with the patient and actually have that practice instead of using a dummy to practice with. So, for example, in Serbia niche, when I first came here, the first thing that they gave me was a patient and tested the clinical skills and knowledge that I have, because it's something that's basic that you need to know as a doctor. So in any country in Europe, they do provide quite a lot of exposure to help you.
Fantastic. And did you find that you were kind of thrown a bit more in the deep end when you got there, having to work on real patients?
Oh yeah. They took me by surprise. They really put me in the deep end. Obstetrics. I was there watching many deliveries, and I was so shocked that, wow, this is real medicine. This is where I am. I'm really in the deep end of the medicine with real doctors, real surgeons practicing, and I was there to witness and also participate.
Fantastic. There is a question that was posted, and I think I'll read it for you. It says, is it true that during internship in hospitals, international students, i.e. UK students, are not permitted to touch patients? In such cases, the internship takes the form of an observership only. Students are not able to gain real exposure because they're only training on dummies.
No, I think no, that's not true at all. And to be honest, that wherever you go, whether it's from your from start of your clinical course to even internship, you're going to be with patients all the time, and you're going to be engaging and touching these patients. And they gave you the permission to do this, so there's not going to be any problem of you not having such exposure. You're going to be having exposure from the third course and upwards.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Singer.
Pleasure.
Next question. So, did you find the language difference as a barrier in terms of your social and city life? Fantastic question. I think I'll ask one of the students also studying in Bulgaria, and that's Ivan. Ivan, are you here?
Hello. Sorry, my computer.
Hello, Ivan.
Hello. Did I find the language difference as a barrier in terms? In the beginning, of course I did. I was kind of scared of the culture difference because I come from the Middle East. And for that reason, like all I knew was English and Arabic. And going there, like I could only speak English to people, which is my second language as well. And in the first year, I barely spoke any Bulgarian, of course, but through learning in the university, I could speak like minimal, which is like talking to patients and like going to the grocery store and like asking for bread, milk, and all of that. Like I learned that through experience and learning it from the university, which they teach you Bulgarian. Apart from that, like finding friends is pretty easy because there's people that speak English there all the time. Like the young people, they always, like they're pretty fluent in English. Not fluent, but like they know English very well. But the older generation, it's kind of hard with them. You need to know a bit basic language like Bulgarian to speak with them. But apart from that, that's it. Like you just need a bit of language, learn the language a bit there to speak with the older generations, but the younger ones, they're fine.
Fantastic, thank you. Can you tell us a bit more about pretty much yourself and really your journey to get into Bulgaria and where you're studying currently, please?
Yeah, so I'm Jordanian. I come from the United Arab Emirates, sorry. And I am 23 years old in the 6th year. So I came here when I was 18 years old. And I had a difficult time because I didn't want to study in the Middle East due to how education was kind of expensive. And I was searching for a place in Europe, and I found Medlink, and Medlink gave me a lot of options in Europe, and I ended up choosing Bulgaria. And they helped me a lot through the admissions initially. But then they helped me even more through the entrance exams, and when I arrived, they helped me like from the airport to like finding a place and knowing the country, like showing me around, showing me where the university is, meeting new people. Like I'm very grateful for that. And the first few years, for the first 2 years, I learned some pre-clinics in my university, which is Varna University. And I learned like from head and neck anatomy, the teeth, the shape of the teeth, the anatomy, by doing practical work from the phantom heads, waxing up teeth, cadavers, and all of that. And then now I'm in from 4th year to 6th year, I learned in the more practically with patients. And I just came back from like 2 hours ago from a 4-hour clinical classes, and I was working with patients the whole day. And that's why I'm a bit tired and flustered. But apart from that, I've had a great experience in terms of my past 6 years in Bulgaria, and I'm very grateful for Medlink. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ivan. Last question for you. What advice would you give the students? I suppose they also want to become future doctors as you're looking to do. What advice do you have for them?
I have you guys need to work hard. You really need to work hard, because these 6 years, all I've been doing was studying all day, all night. I've been going to coffee shops with my friends. We study together. Find friends, let them help you as soon as possible. Get to know people, get to know upper years as well. Get a community. I am a Muslim myself, and I found a big Muslim community, and they're extremely helpful. And you will find your people. You will find, in every country, you will find your people, no matter what. So don't worry about that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And we can't wait to see you finish and go out into the world and do amazing things. Thank you so much, Ivan. It's now time for some live Q&A. There's been so many questions, so many, and we're going to go through some of them. I know you guys have voted some of them, so we will pick these questions live and answer them. And I will get some of the students to come in and also help out with answering these questions. So one of them that I have picked out here is, what sort of prerequisites or standardized tests are needed to be eligible to get into a dentistry program? Seems we have a lot of dentist students here tonight. I will let Dana come in and answer this question, and then I'll bring in a student also to talk about their experience a little bit here. Dana?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's great. We have a lot of dentistry students today. We've been getting a lot of questions about dentistry. So I'm going to cover with this answer 2 parts. What kind of prerequisites do we need? Now, as we discussed before, each university has different requirements. So it depends on what you have. Usually you need the high school with basic sciences, biology, chemistry. Each university has different requirements again. So it's best to speak to an advisor so they can tell you what's the best university to apply to. However, what's best to do when you're applying for dentistry is focus on the university you're interested in, because each university has a different entrance exam. The entrance exams in Europe are a bit internal. You don't find a general exam for all the universities in Poland or all the universities in Georgia. Each university has its interview and has its exam. So our advisors will be helping you with the test, telling you more about each university's requirements. What do you need to have in high school? What do you need to take? Is it an interview? Is it no entrance exam? Is it a written entrance exam? And our doctors have prepared material for you for every university based on our years of experience there to help you prepare well for the exam so you can ace it, pass it with flying colors. So that's it about that.
Thank you so much, Dana. Let's have a look at another question. And before we look at the next question, I think this question has been asked a lot as well. And I'm going to ask all the students who are with us tonight. I know some of you have answered, but we're getting a lot of questions about a lot of students that are concerned really about going abroad. It's a big step. So any real student that's watching tonight, or maybe a parent, what advice do you have for them about embarking on that journey? Because I'm sure you guys were also once nervous about taking that journey and going abroad. So I'll start with Chudi. What advice do you have for the students who are here tonight, or the parents that are worried about sending their child abroad to study? Are you with us, Chudi? All right, we'll come back to Chudi. Let's move on to Iram. Iram, are you with us?
I am, yes.
Fantastic. What advice do you have for the students that are with us tonight, or people that are thinking about joining and still nervous about the decision and taking that first step?
Yeah, so I think my first piece of advice would be for the parents, because I had a very sort of scared mother, very terrified mother, like, oh my God, I'm sending my daughter to a different country in Eastern Europe and so on. So parents, honestly, I think, once you see the atmosphere there, there's so many British students, not even British students, there's so many students there who are always so happy to help. And so I remember when I went to European University, we went into the university and students they had known that we were not part of the university. So they had just given us a tour and stuff, and it was very nice. And I think it was great. And so a piece of advice for students actually is, I think if you do everything a little bit earlier, it's going to give you a peace of mind, because you're not going to have that stress of deadlines, and you're not going to have that stress of, oh, will I get in? And you're not going to be so busy towards the end. Whereas if you do it in a timely manner, you're going to be a bit more like at ease throughout the whole process. So I think my piece of advice would be, do everything early. It is a big decision to make, so don't rush it. But I think do everything early, and I think that's just going to make your life a lot more easier.
Thank you so much for your advice, Iram. Thank you. We can't wait to see your journey unfold as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So who do we have next? So we have Shinga. Shinga, what advice do you have for the people listening tonight about taking that journey and the step, whether it's the parent or whether it's the student embarking on that journey?
For all the students, I would say to believe in yourself and to have confidence that you'll be able to do this and to take that leap of faith, because at the end of the day, it is an opportunity and a once in a lifetime opportunity. I know there'll be a lot of people that will be dreaming to be in the position that you are in, or potentially could be in. So just have that in the back of your mind and appreciate the journey that you are about to take and embark. But the core element of it is to truly believe in your capabilities and what you can become in the future.
Thank you so much, Shinga. Another student we want to invite as well is Jesse, who's studying in Romania. Jesse, what advice do you have for the students that are watching tonight that want to take the same journey as you did, and obviously the parents as well that are here watching?
Good day, everyone. My name is Jesse, of course, and I'm 18 years old, and I'm not in Romania yet, not right now, but eventually, when my visa problems and whatnot sorts itself out, I will get there. And the advice that I would have to give to students is honestly to have hope, because in times like this and with situations like this, it would seem like if life sometimes would always try to intervene with all sorts of different complications and problems, and it would seem grim. However, when you have hope and try to always keep a positive attitude. It will always work out to be better in the end. And throughout it all, Medlink has always been there for me and they have always helped. And I wouldn't be where I am right now and getting through as efficiently, as effectively as I am right now if it wasn't for Medlink's assistance. And for this, I'm truly grateful.
Thank you so much, Jesse. We can't wait to meet you out there and help you start your journey. Thank you so much. All right, so I think we've asked quite almost all the students. Let's pick some of the other kind of questions that are being asked. Let's go through them. So another question that's been asked is, do they look at GCSE sciences? Dana, can you help answer this question, please?
Yes, can you repeat the question again, Edmund, just to make sure I heard it right?
It's someone asking if they look at GCSE sciences.
All right, that's a good question. Now, usually the most thing they focus on, according to academics, is A levels. If you have GCSEs as sciences and you have good grades and you have A levels, but you have better grades than GCSEs, we can still apply, and it's best to add it to the file. We can take the documents, put them all in a file. It's our expert doctors' job to create a strong competitive file, and anything we add, any experience you have, any certificates, each student has different things. However, yes, we can take it, but it's not the main factor. What we focus on is A levels, and also whatever you have in A levels, as we discussed before, we always have a university that meets the requirements of universities. Some universities look at GCSEs, some won't. And there's several factors that are important in an application. It's not just your academic papers. Sometimes I have students who come to me and say, I don't have really good grades, I don't have the best grades. Will a student with A's beat me or take the spot? Well, that's not necessary, because our doctors will create a strong file, and sometimes there's an entrance exam that you can also, if we help you prepare well and you perform well, it adds to your file. So it's not very important to focus on GCSEs, but it's best to speak to an advisor. They can tell you the university that you're interested in, what they focus on, what you need to have, and they'll advise you on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dana. Let's take one more question. There's so many questions that are coming in. Wow, guys, this is amazing. We thank you guys so much for attending and asking all these questions. There's another question here. If I want to study in Poland, do I need to learn Polish language? Because during internship, I need to see patients and need to talk to them in Polish. And if they can't speak English, what do you do? Dana, can you shed some light on this, please?
Yep. So I think we did go over this. One of the students was talking about the language barrier in the hospital. So you will be learning the language in the beginning of your course. You'll be catching up. When you reach the practical years, many students are worried about the language barrier, but you'll have your doctors helping you, translating, and you'll also would have learned the basics of the language to have a basic conversation with the patient. And the patient also feels really relieved when they speak to you as an international student. Sometimes they get to get excited to know more about you. So the language barrier has not been a big deal in your rotations or last 3 years, which are the practicals, because you'll always have a doctor there helping you translate. And some patients speak a bit of English, you speak a bit of the native language, you'll manage. It's never been a barrier.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I know a lot of students do worry about this, going out there and not being able to interact with patients, but you will spend a considerable amount of time there. Now, I'm sorry to say, we've come to the end of the webinar. We've had a fantastic time here tonight. I've had really good fun seeing these questions, the students talking about their experiences. Now, I know you guys have a lot of questions that keep coming in as well. All you have to do is just scan the QR here on the left or to the right if you're watching, and you'll be able to book an appointment with myself or any of the advisors that we have here. This is recorded as well, so you will get a link sent to you once it's uploaded onto our channel. But this gives you, book a call with us and gives you a chance for us to discuss your options, to go through. Sometimes some students might just want to know what's out there. The biggest thing, obviously, is taking that step. And you've already done that by coming here and listening and seeing the insights of the students. You know, it's a lovely time when we see the students really get accepted, and an amazing time when we see them come home after being doctors and dentists. And it's brilliant. And so we want the same for you. We want you to have the same opportunities, because every single year it gets more competitive. From the UK, we see it. And in other countries as well. I speak to students from the US and Australia, and they also tell us about how competitive it is in their country. So let's have a conversation. It's a free call. We are here day and night to make sure that we can discuss any option that is available to you. Now, we're always a phone call away. You can email us, you can text us. And the great thing is, if you attended today, if you scan that QR code next to the consultation, you will get a certificate which will be emailed out to you as well. Now, we'd like to thank all the students who spend their time here with us tonight. And we know that, you know, studying medicine isn't an easy feat. So spending some time with us is very much appreciated. We'd like to also thank our advisors who spend some time with us, obviously giving you guys some insights to what's out there. And for you guys that are watching, thank you so much for joining us. And really, we hope that this has been insightful for you. And if you have joined us before, let us have another conversation. Let's see what else is out there for you for the new year. And really discuss the opportunities, because you can become a doctor, you can become a dentist. And it all takes that one step of just having a conversation and seeing what's out there for you. And we're also out there in Europe. So if you wanted to come visit, feel free, because it helps you understand what's out there, what facilities are there, what universities are out there. Thank you so much for all of you guys, and we can't wait to see you on the next one. Have a great night.